Have you ever told yourself, I'll start tomorrow? Just one more video. I work better under pressure. And then suddenly, it's midnight, the task is still unfinished, and you're feeling guilty? If yes, you're not lazy. In fact, most people who procrastinate are not lazy at all. They're often ambitious people with big goals. The problem is that they're fighting the wrong enemy. Most advice tells you, be more disciplined, work harder, wake up at 5 a.m. But what if procrastination isn't a discipline problem? What if your mind is actually trying to protect you? Today, I'm going to show you a simple way to understand procrastination that most people never realize. And once you understand this idea, stopping procrastination becomes much easier. So grab a coffee, sit back, and let's talk about why your brain keeps delaying things and how to finally break the cycle. Imagine you're standing in front of a huge mountain. The mountain represents your goal. Maybe it's starting a business, losing weight, studying for an exam, learning a skill, making YouTube videos. You look at the mountain and think, wow, that's huge. Immediately, your brain starts calculating. How much work? How much time? What if I fail? What if people judge me? What if I'm not good enough? And before you've even taken the first step, you're already mentally exhausted. This is where procrastination begins. Most people think they procrastinate because they don't want success. Actually, they procrastinate because the task feels emotionally heavy. Your brain isn't avoiding the work, it's avoiding the uncomfortable feelings attached to the work. Think about it. Have you ever cleaned your room instead of studying? Or checked emails instead of starting a project? You weren't avoiding effort, you were avoiding a specific task. Why? Because that task carried stress, uncertainty, or fear. That's the first thing to understand. Procrastination is emotional management, not time management. There's another reason many people procrastinate that nobody talks about enough: perfectionism. Sometimes we procrastinate because we're afraid our work won't be good enough. We don't avoid starting because we don't care. We avoid starting because we care too much. We want the workout to be perfect, the business idea to be perfect, the YouTube video to be perfect, the presentation to be perfect, the first attempt to be perfect. But here's the problem. When your standard is perfection, starting becomes terrifying. Because the moment you begin, you risk discovering that your work isn't perfect. So instead of taking that risk, your brain chooses something safer: delay. You tell yourself, I need more time, I need more research, I need a better plan. I'll start when I'm ready. But often, that's not preparation. That's procrastination in disguise. In fact, perfectionism is just procrastination wearing a smarter disguise. It feels productive, it sounds responsible, but it creates the same result: no action. Here's something that changed the way I think about progress. Done is better than perfect. A workout you actually do is better than the perfect workout you never start. A video you publish is better than the masterpiece that stays in your head. A business idea tested in the real world is better than a flawless plan sitting in a notebook. The people who make progress aren't the people who get everything right. They're the people who are willing to be beginners. They're willing to be imperfect. They're willing to start before they're ready. Because they understand something most people don't. You can't improve something that doesn't exist. The first version doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to exist. Let's talk about something dangerous: instant relief. Imagine you need to write an important report. You sit down, open your laptop, and suddenly, you feel uncomfortable. So you check Instagram. Immediately, you feel better. The stress disappears. For a moment, your brain notices this. It learns, whenever I'm uncomfortable, social media makes me feel good. And that's how a habit forms. The scary part? Every time you procrastinate, your brain gets rewarded. The reward isn't the video. The reward is escaping discomfort. That's why procrastination becomes addictive. Not because scrolling is fun, because escaping feels good. And the more often you escape, the stronger the habit becomes. It's like digging a path through grass. The more you walk the same path, the easier it becomes. Eventually, your brain automatically chooses avoidance without you even realizing it. There's something strange about procrastination. When you delay a task, your brain makes a promise. It says, don't worry, we'll do it tomorrow. And the crazy thing is that you believe it every single time. But think about it. What magical thing is going to happen tomorrow? Will tomorrow's version of you suddenly become more disciplined, more motivated, more energetic? Probably not. Tomorrow is usually just today repeated. Your brain isn't trying to ruin your future. It's trying to make you feel better right now. That's why it keeps choosing comfort over progress. This is one of the biggest traps of procrastination. Your brain treats future you like a completely different person. It says, let future me handle it. But future you eventually becomes present you. And now the responsibility comes right back. Now, let me share something personal. A couple of years ago, I started gaining weight. Not a little weight, a lot of weight. And every single day, I would tell myself the same thing. Tomorrow, I'll start exercising. Then tomorrow came, and somehow I didn't do it. Maybe I was tired. Maybe I was busy. Maybe I just didn't feel like it. I wasn't lazy. I genuinely wanted to lose weight. But wanting something and taking action are two different things. At night, I'd feel disappointed in myself because I knew I hadn't done what I promised. Then, I'd make another promise. It's okay. I'll definitely start tomorrow. And then tomorrow became another tomorrow, and another, and another. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Months became years. Before I realized it, almost 2 years had passed. One day, I realized something. The problem wasn't knowledge. I already knew what to do. Walk more, eat better, exercise regularly. The problem was waiting. Waiting for motivation. Waiting for the perfect day. Waiting for the perfect mood. The crazy thing is that it didn't take 2 years to decide to exercise. That decision could have been made in a second. What took 2 years was waiting for the perfect moment. I had spent more time planning to exercise than actually exercising. Then one day, something clicked. I stopped saying, I'll start tomorrow. I stopped saying, next hour. I stopped saying, after this video. Instead, I made one small decision. Not tomorrow, not next hour, not next minute, now. I stood up and did something immediately. It wasn't a perfect workout. It wasn't an amazing transformation. It wasn't impressive, but it was action. And that one small action was more powerful than hundreds of promises I had made to myself. Because action broke a cycle that motivation never could. Today, I'm still on my journey to lose weight and body fat. I'm not sharing this because I've already reached the finish line. I'm sharing it because I finally learned something important. Your life changes the moment you stop negotiating with yourself. Your life doesn't change when you plan to act. Your life changes when you act. Because every time you say tomorrow, you're often buying temporary comfort at the cost of long-term happiness. Now let's talk solutions. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to finish a task before they start it. For example, I need to study for 3 hours. I need to write 20 pages. I need to edit an entire video. Your brain hears that and panics because it's imagining the entire mountain. Instead, use what I call the 5-minute doorway method. Your goal is not to finish. Your goal is to enter. Just enter. Tell yourself, I'm only going to do this for 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes. Not 1 hour. Not until completion. Just 5 minutes. Why does this work? Because starting is usually harder than continuing. Once you're moving, resistance drops dramatically. Think of a car. The most fuel is used when the car starts moving. After that, momentum takes over. Humans work the same way. Many times you'll continue far beyond 5 minutes. But even if you don't, you've still won. Because you've trained your brain to become someone who starts. And people who start are far more likely to finish than people who never begin. Before using the 5-minute doorway method, try this. Shrink the task until it sounds almost ridiculous. Don't tell yourself, I'm going to exercise for an hour. Tell yourself, I'm going to put on my shoes. Don't tell yourself, I'm going to write a 2,000-word article. Tell yourself, I'm going to write 1 sentence. This sounds silly, but it works because your brain resists difficult actions, not tiny actions. Nobody procrastinates putting on shoes. Nobody procrastinates writing 1 sentence. And once you've started, continuing becomes much easier. This is called reducing activation energy. The lower the starting cost, the more likely you'll begin. Here's something most productivity experts never mention. You don't act according to your goals. You act according to your identity. Let me explain. Someone says, I want to become fit, but deep inside they believe, I'm the type of person who never sticks to workouts. Guess which belief wins? The identity, every single time. That's why some people constantly quit, not because they lack ability, because their identity doesn't support the behavior. So stop saying, I need to stop procrastinating. Instead say, I am someone who starts before I feel ready. Notice the difference. One focuses on fighting a bad habit. The other creates a new identity. Every small action becomes a vote for that identity. Read 1 page? Vote. Study for 5 minutes? Vote. Record 1 video? Vote. tiny actions repeated daily create powerful identities. I want you to imagine two versions of yourself. Version 1 always delays. Version 2 starts immediately. Now fast forward 1 year. What happens? The first version has hundreds of unfinished ideas, books never read, projects never launched, dreams never started. The second version isn't perfect, but they started. And because they started, they improved. Because they improved, they gained confidence. And because they gained confidence, they achieved more. The gap wasn't talent. The gap was action. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 day and underestimate what they can do in 1 year. Small daily action beats occasional motivation every time. Here's a strange question. Why do people brush their teeth every day? Because it's easy. Imagine if brushing your teeth required driving to another city. Nobody would do it consistently. The easier an action is, the more likely you'll repeat it. So instead of asking, how can I become more motivated? Ask, how can I make this easier? Want to read more? Leave the book on your pillow. Want to exercise? Put workout clothes beside your bed. Want to make YouTube videos? Prepare everything before you sleep. Reduce friction, because every extra step creates an opportunity for procrastination. Successful people don't always have stronger willpower. Often, they simply have better systems. Here's a lesson I wish I learned earlier. Motivation usually comes after action, not before. Most people sit around waiting to feel motivated. But motivation is like a car battery. It helps start the engine. It doesn't keep the car moving forever. The people you admire don't wake up excited every day. They just begin, even when they don't feel like it. And once they begin, motivation often appears along the way. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates motivation. Motivation creates more action. And this isn't just motivational advice. There's actually psychology behind it. Researchers have found something called the progress principle. The idea is simple. When people see even small signs of progress, motivation increases naturally. Think about how satisfying it feels to cross something off your to-do list, or finish the first page of a book, or complete the first workout after weeks of doing nothing. The progress might be small, but your brain notices it. And when your brain notices progress, it rewards you with a feeling of accomplishment. That feeling makes you want to continue. In other words, progress creates energy. This is why waiting for motivation often doesn't work. Motivation isn't always what gets you started. Sometimes, progress creates the motivation. That's why taking a tiny step today is more powerful than waiting for a burst of inspiration tomorrow. Because once you see yourself moving forward, your brain starts wanting more of that feeling. And that's when momentum begins to work in your favor. So if you remember only 3 things from this video, remember these. Number 1, procrastination is usually emotional avoidance, not laziness. Number 2, stop focusing on finishing, focus on starting. Use the 5-minute doorway method. Number 3, build the identity of someone who takes action, not someone who waits for motivation. Remember, your future isn't built by huge, life-changing moments. It's built by small decisions repeated daily. 1 page, 1 workout, 1 video, 1 step. That's all it takes. Because every great achievement starts the same way. Not with confidence, not with motivation, not with perfection, but with a simple decision. I'll start now. After this video ends, I don't want you to promise yourself that you'll start tomorrow. You've probably made that promise before. I know I did. Instead, pick one thing you've been delaying. Just one. Then, take the smallest possible action before you watch another video. Not later, not tonight, not tomorrow morning. Right now. Because procrastination survives in the future. Action only exists in the present, and the person you want to become is built by what you do today, not by what you promise you'll do tomorrow. If this video helped you, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take action today, not tomorrow.